All right, here we go now. We got a busy afternoon. Good job by Donaldson. Moses for a change, waking up. Let's have a conversation with our buddy there who runs the Braves, Alex Anthopoulos. I remember the first time I ever talked to him there, he was in that back way in that dopey little building behind the Blue Jays in Dunedin, Florida. He's had some interesting stories to say. Obviously, Blue Jays, Dodgers, and he's been running the Braves and well last couple of years. Alex, good to talk. How are you today, pal? Okay?
Doing well. Glad to be on.
And you were good with that interview. You told me about why you got into baseball. You did a good job. All right, we got a lot to do now. Let's talk about Donaldson. Were you in the mix here late as far as Donaldson was concerned with this contract? Let me hear.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I saw his interviews, and I thought he did a really nice job when he did the interview with Atlanta and so on. And, look, I mean, I guess it all depends how you view offers and things like that. I mean, we had unbelievable communication with his representation the entire time. At GM meetings, the winter meetings, during the holidays. I was at my in-laws and spent a lot of time on the phone going through it, and a lot of proposals were talked about and so on. And look, we were kept in the loop the entire time, and we were, and including, I even had some communication with Josh just towards the end. And I've said this many times. He was sincere about wanting to be in Atlanta. He gave us every opportunity to get to the level that the Twins did. There were no surprises at all. He wanted to make it work. It was a tough call for me. Leading the baseball operations group, we debated it, and we just couldn't, we didn't feel it made sense for us with everything we have going on to get to the level that the Twins did. We made what we felt was a strong, healthy offer, but not to the level of the Twins, and I don't blame him. He's one of the best players in the game. He's in the playoffs every year. I owe a lot to him for my career. The first time we got him in Toronto, we got back to the playoffs. He won the MVP. Last year, we won 97 games, won the division. We don't do that without him. And, he's definitely had a huge hand in my career, and I'll be forever grateful to him. But it's tough. We have to do what I feel is best for the short and the long term of the club, and it's tough to walk away from arguably the best player to Mike Trout in the game. And he had options with one of the best organizations in the game with the Twins, over 100 wins, great lineup, great team, great city. So they gave him a great deal, and he deserved it. He deserves it. He earned it. And I'm thrilled for him, but obviously tough to see him go because he's meant so much to me, and I know our players and our fans really got attached to him.
Good job by Alex. They're emotional, and you could tell he made that trade with the A's to get him, and it turned out to be a great trade. All right, now, without getting too specific, you got to give me a little nugget here. Was it the years that bothered you or the money?
Yeah, I would just say I know there was a ton of talk about 3 years, 4 years, whatever. I mean, his deal could end up being a 5-year deal with $100 million, right? So our view was just the total dollars. We weren't stuck on it had to be X amount of years, because one thing about Josh is that I've known him for a while now. He works exceptionally hard, really bright, smart guy in terms of his knowledge of hitting. It's outstanding, and he takes tremendous care of himself. So I could very well see him being like a Nelly Cruz, where he's playing when he's 40. So from our standpoint, we just looked at it as total dollars, and we viewed it as you can cut it up any way you want. We can work on years and do all those type of things. So that wasn't going to be the issue to just not get a deal done. There was always a way to do that. I think it was just going to come down to the total dollars in the deal, okay. And we just didn't feel comfortable getting to those dollars where the Twins did.
Not fair. You gave me an answer. I mean, I'll give you the 4 years, but here's my amount of money. You figure out you want to split it up. I learned something. All right, number two, did you have Ozuna in your hip pocket? It's awfully quick. You bring him in to play left field. Was this something you had discussed and told Ozuna, sit tight, let's see what happens with Donaldson. Once we decide if we're going to keep or let him go, we'll make a run at you. How much was this in play here with the Cardinal left fielder?
Yeah, so we had identified Ozuna at the beginning of the offseason as what we felt is somewhat of an undervalued free agent. He had a good year, not a great year. We just thought some of the batted ball characteristics and so on that he performed better than the stat line showed. And we thought there was upside there in our lineup, in our ballpark. And we reached out to his representation early. That said, we were really clear and transparent. We said our priority is Josh Donaldson. We said that to any free agent that we talked to, that we were going to run that play out all the way to the end. But we just stayed in contact with Ozuna the entire time. And to our good fortune, he was still available. But if he had signed early, we weren't going to peel off at Josh Donaldson. We were going to run that play out all the way to the end. We were going to wait as long as we needed to until he was ready and he was prepared to make a decision. And we had talked to him a few days before when with his agency and so on, let us know, look, he's ready to go. He's ready to make a decision. He's getting down to the wire. Here's where the deal's going to need to be. And we ultimately chose not to go there. And once it was over and we knew he was signing, we didn't know where, but we knew he was going to go in and sign with some other team at those dollars. And then we ramped things back up with Ozuna. But we were very transparent with Ozuna that Donaldson was our priority, and we weren't going to deviate from that until we knew it was over or we had him signed.
All right, that's number 2. Boy, he does a good job. Number 3, where does the organization stand right now with Austin Riley?
We really like Austin Riley. We think he's going to be a great player. The challenge is we don't know when. Is that going to be in 2020? I hope so. Could it be in 21? We think there's some similarities. Not that they're the same player, but we had a lot of uncertainty about Ozzy Albies going into 2019. The second half of 2018, he had a really rough time. We had talked about it in the offseason. What if it continues? What if that slide continues? What if potentially he needs to go back down? We love the talent. We loved him long term. We thought he'd be a great player. You just don't know when it comes to young players. So Riley, the one thing about him is, if you look at his career, every time he gets to a level in a certain year, he struggles the first time, and the following year when he repeats it, he excels. And that's all through the minors. It's been the same way. So if the pattern holds true, he struggled at the big league level last year. He knows what he needs to work on this winter. He's definitely highly motivated to do that. Hopefully 2020 is the year that it comes together. If not, Johan Camargo, when he was an everyday player in 2018, was a 3-win player. So we're high on him as well. So having 2 guys with upside, with risk, which is why we wanted Josh back, we feel pretty good about our options and our depth. But again, they're no locks. They're not certain. But I won't be surprised if either guy has a big year for us.
All right, that's one last thing, Alex. And they own our radio. They own Sirius, so I'm very familiar with them, and they're good owners for us. Liberty Media. Let's talk about this for a sec. There's this perception out there that the Braves, tip their toes in the deep end of the pool, but don't go all the way in to give themselves to win a championship. All right, they're going to add Will Smith. They're going to bring in Ozuna for a year, and they're going to, bring Dano in to catch. And, Hamels is a, low-risk scenario. But to really get that 1 or 2 guys scenario and really spend the big money to put them on the thresholds of a championship, they don't want to do it. What would be your argument against that? Let me hear.
Sure. No, and since I've joined the organization, there's been a lot of talk about payroll and things like that. There's a lot of narratives out there, and they're just false. I think the best way to put it is I report to Terry McGurk. He's the chairman of the club. He is the one that sets the payroll each year. He's the only one that I deal with. Obviously, Liberty Media owns us, but Terry McGurk is the one that sets the payroll and runs the entire organization, and he's the one that I report to. And I've been able, every time I've needed money, I've needed to go over our payroll. Our payroll in 2018 was $120 million. I needed to go over at the trade deadline to add Gosman and O'Day. I didn't have a whole lot of time to do it. We were getting a deal done with a few minutes to go, and he gave me a quick yes. Last year, our projected payroll was $140. We went up $20 million. I needed some money at the trade deadline to add someone like Melanson and some of the other guys that we did. I needed a quick yes. It was coming down to the last day. I got a quick yes from him. So we don't, he's unbelievable to work for. I've gotten all the resources that I've needed. Our payroll has continued to climb. It's the highest it's ever been. It's anything that we've done or haven't done at this stage has been a baseball operations decision. So this hasn't been based on anything else. We had the ability, if we wanted to do a deal with Josh, we certainly could have done that, or any of these other free agents. But for various reasons, we elected to sign the guys that we did. So we've gotten all the support in the world, all the resources we've needed. We've gone over our payroll each year. It's certainly not going to be a bottomless pit. You're not going to see us at $200 million or $250 or $300, but it's continuing to climb, and we're starting to get towards the top 10 now.
Good job, Alex. Well done. Nice to talk to you again. Keep in touch. Appreciate a few minutes here today.